Hi, my name is Misha, and if you're new here, I'm working on a sapphic psychological thriller, and I just finished my first draft of the book back in August. I'm actually currently taking a 1-month break, so I should be back at it starting September 15th. Right now, I'm pre-filming a couple of things because I'll be going off to London to go visit my sister for about a week and a half, and I am hoping to get some videos out here before I do that. Today, I really wanted to talk a little bit about some of my writing goals for the rest of the year, especially now that I'm done the first draft. Stepping away from the story is a really important thing for me to do just before I go back in, so that when I do go back in and read it all the way through for the first time, I don't feel as close to it and I can actually have a little bit more perspective, look at it through a more objective lens. I mean, people usually take, I think, longer breaks than this. And sometimes people don't take any breaks at all. So everyone's a little bit different. I feel like a month is a solid amount of time for me. I don't know if I would be able to do any more, to be honest. I'll also have a video that goes into revision prep a little bit more, but essentially I want to talk about some of the goals I'm setting for myself, and we'll see later on if I pass or fail. This is specifically for working on the second draft of my novel, because that is going to be a long and hard task. I'm planning on doing a full rewrite. I don't imagine keeping that much of what is currently in there, although I haven't read it yet, so I don't know, but I think it's going to be a full rewrite, especially with all of the structural changes that I'm sure are going to come. Understanding if some characters need to be deleted, some characters need to be fleshed out in a different way or more distinct. All of those things that happen in a second draft, specifically developmental editing that I'm going to be working on. So my first goal is just easy breezy, do a full read through of my book without going into edits. I did something that is actually going to help me do that, because normally I think the hardest part is to actually read things all the way through, especially your own writing, and not edit as you go. When I edit as I go or see little typos or line edit changes, it's harder for me to actually pull back and see the structural changes, because I'm getting too in the weeds of things, and I don't want to be too in the weeds of things because it's not time for that type of editing right now. It is time for structural changes. So my goal is to do a full read through. Now that I have a physical copy of my manuscript, I think it is going to be a little bit easier for me. I should probably pull it out. It has the working title of the novel right now, which I don't feel like I'm ready to share just yet, so I'm going to cover it. But this is it. And there's a whole thing. Now that I have this physical copy of my manuscript, I can actually just handwrite any notes and things that I want to change. I'll obviously still make a lot of notes as I go through it. I actually created a whole list of questions that I actually got from a lot of research that I've done. It's questions that I've also asked myself in the past when I've done developmental edits, and I wrote them all down. I will go over them in another video of my revision prep, but I basically really want to do a full read through, write a lot of notes, and then give myself a couple of days to just digest it, reflect, and do some thinking, review those notes, think about it a lot more intentionally. I think a thing I want to do a little bit differently than I've done in past drafts is it's so hard for me to not just immediately jump back in as soon as I'm working on my draft. And I really want to spend a little bit of time just reflecting on how I intentionally want to structure things. So I want to play around with maybe jotting down like an outline based on how the story's structured now, playing around with some of the scenes, using note cards and writing each scene down, and then like moving them around and seeing if I want to play with that or add new scenes in. I might actually create an outline. I might do a little blurb or a synopsis, which really helps me understand my story a lot more. So after reading it through, I think I'm going to do some of that work so that I can feel confident about how it needs to be structured, and also what needs to stay, what needs to go. I have a feeling a lot is going to need to go. And that is okay. My goals are not just what I want to accomplish, it's also areas that I really want to improve on, because I do get too in the weeds of things, especially wanting things to sound really good. And I think that in the first draft, I wasn't as perfectionist version of me as I can get. I wasn't as like type A version of me as I can get. And as soon as I get into editing, that mode just takes over. Something I would really like to improve on is focusing on the big picture stuff and not getting lost in the weeds. I also want to end my second draft at a similar word count. My word count for this novel was a little bit over 80,000 words, and for a first draft, I think that's really good. For past first drafts that I've written, they've been like 120,000 words or like 100K plus usually. And so to have a first draft that's 80,000 words is a treat. It's a treat. But I don't want that to mean that my second draft ends up being so much longer. I really want to keep the 80,000 word count limit for this book. I don't think it needs to be any longer than that. But if we get up to 90K, 100K, we're going to have to make some cuts. I also want to finish, I don't even know if I want to put this on myself, but I think this is fairly reasonable. I don't know. My goal is to finish the second draft by the end of February. I don't know why I'm so scared to say that. If I start my read through, note taking, and then start my writing towards the end of September even, that means that I still have 5 months to do my second draft, whether it's a full rewrite or not. It's just that my second drafts end up being slower writing it's just slower in terms of understanding how things need to be structured in general, making sure that characters are very, very distinct and being very clear about the tone of the story. The second draft is kind of the largest undertaking, I feel, or at least for my own writing process. I find that the first draft, I typically am pretty quick in my turnaround-ish once I actually start drafting it. It usually takes me a couple of months, but second draft, I don't know. I mean, end of February might even still be ambitious. So if it takes longer than that, it takes longer than that. But I want to aim for the end of February to really finish this book. Or not this book, this draft. I also think that a great learning for me was that the higher word count days were really working for me when I was writing the first draft. I want to find what my rhythm is in this draft. Is it higher word counts? Is it setting a timer for myself and then just doing a set amount of time, like setting aside an hour to 2 hours every single day? Does that work for me? I want to find what my rhythm for writing the second draft is, because it's just, your goal is a little bit different. My goal for my first draft was that I wanted to understand the story. I wanted to understand the characters and the story that they were trying to tell me. And it was to create this skeleton. And now I have this skeleton to kind of work with. The second draft is kind of the biggest undertaking, for me at least, because I'm really trying to be thoughtful and intentional about how I'm structuring things. That doesn't mean that they're not going to be subject to change in the third draft or any drafts moving forward. But I do want to feel a little bit more clarity in terms of how things are moving along in this book. That's why I think that for my first draft, having those higher word count days were actually really helpful in making me feel so deep in my story. And I'm curious as to whether that will work in my next draft, or if I'm just going to want to, not focus as much on word count and just focus on scenes or chapters, which I have not created chapters. So I need to create chapters. That's also a thing that I need to do. There's a lot that I need to do. There's a lot that I need to still map out and figure out for this book. But I'm very excited to do so. From the day that I'm filming this, it's been 2 weeks since I have finished my first draft. I feel like I am getting a little bit nervous now to go back in, and nervous as in I'm like, what if I don't know what to do with it? And what if I don't know how to change it in a way that makes sense? Or all of those things, all of those fears that build up as time goes by, and you're a person with anxiety. I don't know whether I'm going to figure this out in the second draft because it feels so fuzzy in my brain right now. But I don't know if I am sold on this ending. I have changed the ending of this book like 30 times. Okay, that's a lie, like 3 times. For every other manuscript that I've written, I've been so clear about the ending. Like, oftentimes I'll know the ending pretty soon after starting drafting. This is the first one that I've written where I'm still like, is this the end? Is this how I want to end the book? Do I want an epilogue? Right now there's an epilogue in the book, but do I want that? Do I want to change the end? I think the end feels really good right now, but I am curious and I want to stay open to when I read it if I want to keep it the same, because I don't know right now. I've also never had this problem before where I didn't know how to end the story. And right now where it sits, I'm like, this makes a lot of sense for someone who hasn't read it all the way through. It made a lot of sense while I was writing my first draft. Will it make a lot of sense when I read it all the way through? I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot of uncertainty in the air. As I'm taking this break, the questions are piling up in my head on like, what if I don't know how to do this? And what if I read it and then I can't edit it in the way that I want to? And all of these fears that, just come with writing, with any form of creativity, with life. If I don't figure it out in the second draft, it's not the end of the world. I can go back and change it in the third draft. I do want to feel good about it. I think at this point, I feel really good about how I'm starting the book. So I don't know if I want to change that. But again, this is me without any perspective because I haven't read it. And maybe when I read it, I'll be like, it's got to change. It's got to change. And honestly, that will probably be me. I'm also thinking about interesting ways that I can structure it. And by structure it, I mean like in sections and where there's like scenes within each part, but each part is maybe highlights a key relationship within the story. I mean, a lot of the story is about the protagonist's relationship with women in her life, and especially the relationship with her mother and how that's impacted a lot of the other relationships that she's held throughout her life and the ones that she's forming in the book as well. I'm almost questioning whether I want to structure it in a way that it's like this person's section. But that doesn't mean that it's from their perspective. It's just like it focuses on them a little bit. And does that work for flow? I don't know. That might be weird. I'm just having weird ideas and things that I'm just like, could that be a thing? And could that be a thing? And I don't think any of these things are landing, but I'm writing them all down just in case one of them sticks. Because you never know which one is going to stick. Maybe none of them will. I'll probably have a lot of other thoughts once I actually read it all the way through. We're not there. Even though I want to be there. I would like to be there. But we're not there. I want to be pretty flexible with the second draft and let that take more time if it needs to, just because there are going to be a lot, there's going to be a lot of work that is to come that I'm very excited for, and I wish I could already start right now. But those are some of the things that I've been thinking about and some of the goals that I want to set for myself before I start the second draft. I really hope I finish my second draft by the end of February, but it's fine if I don't. It's fine if I don't. It's fine if it's like 100,000 words and not 80,000. I don't want to worry too much about those pieces as much as I want to work on the story itself to make sure that it is being told in a way that makes the most sense. And the characters are very distinct and the plot is very engaging. I will be making a revision prep video. I'll probably have a lot of videos and content that's really helped me learn more about how to change my approach and add more to it. And I want to try out things a little bit differently and see what works best. And I'm excited for you all to join that journey as well with me. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll talk to you all very soon. Bye.